Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation. And for those of you who've seen the trailer, the votes are in. It is going to be Mech versus Lane and his 120, don't want to sell him short, 120 poxwalkers. So this is a rematch of Mech and Death Guard from previous videos, where my Mech were unfortunately defeated by the Death Guard. But we will persevere. We will push through because there is archaeotech that we want. As my trailer said, if they want the planet, they can have the planet. All we want is the technology. And we want it so bad, we're bringing Belzeria's Call. So today we're going to be running Mech as a Mars detachment with Belzeria's Call going into 120 poxwalkers. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Turn on the bell for notifications to get notified when the battle reports, Lane's army description, and all the other content goes live. So, when going into this battle, I wasn't looking at the most competitive, strongest, best-fitting army. I wanted the army that thematically would lead to a good game versus Lane and 120 poxwalkers. Because, I mean, I could just go and take a whole bunch of Mechanicus vehicles and most of the poxwalkers wouldn't be able to hurt me. Hit any weapons that he may bring to the table as well. Remove those. And then wallow in a sea of poxwalkers. Maybe it wouldn't work out like that for me. But it seems like the stats and everything would bode well for me in an all-vehicle matchup versus all poxwalkers. So instead of doing that, instead of bringing that type of army, I brought infantry. Skitari, all this, that, the other, all these things. So, well, without anything else being said, let's go take a look at the list. And one thing I want you guys to kind of notice with this army, why I say it's zombies versus Jawas, my color scheme, my paint scheme is brown and orange cloaks and yellow eyes. So, yes, this is going to be my space Jawas, which I guess all Jawas live in space, versus the space zombies, which traditionally, we see those a little bit. I think we've seen a couple things with some space zombies, but that's what we're getting tonight. Jawas versus zombies, and, well, here's my Jawas. All right, so here it is. Here is my Mechanicus. This is a Mars detachment, so I get the Cataclysms of Messiah as well as the Doctrina for all my Skitari units. And I also get to reroll 1 to hit dice whenever I make an attack with these guys. Also have access to a 1 command point or 2 command point stratagem for units that are power level 11 or greater. That allows me to have 6s to hit, do a mortal wound in addition to their normal damage, up to a maximum of 6. That was one of the things nerfed, because otherwise that's a brutal amount of damage coming off units like Rangers and Vanguard. All right, so getting over to the list. Let's start with our troops. Over here in the troops section, we have 2 20-man squads of Rangers. Nothing really special here as far as upgrades. They all have Galvanic Rifle. These guys have the Omni specs so that they're able to ignore cover if that matters to when they're shooting. There's a lot of other buffs that can be given to these guys, so I went with the just basic Galvanic Rifles. So we got long rifles hunting zombies tonight. These are 20-man squads again, and they'll pretty much be hanging out around the Marshal to get the reroll 1s to hit and to wound. And they also have the buff from the Manipulus, which we'll talk about later, to get +1 strength to their guns, as well as Galvanic Volley for 2 command points. They can treat their heavy weapons, which is their rifles, as rapid fire. So at 15 inches, they'll be double tapping. There is a lot of pain to come from these guys. Moving on into the Vanguard, we have 2 10-man squads of Vanguard. So with some of the secondaries I'm going to be playing, I wanted to have some smaller units that could complete these secondaries, as well as the fact that the way they interact with their stratagems for cheaper for 1 command point works out a lot nicer for the 10-mans. Enriched Volley is only 1 command point for a 10-man squad, which makes all my hits of 4 up automatically wound. With the Strength 3 weapon, it has 3 shots apiece. These guys can put out a lot of damage, especially off of Call's reroll buffs. And then the last squad in the troop is a squad of Cataphragm Breachers. I want to make sure I got enough wounds and not a lot of infantry on the table going into lane, especially with the poxwalkers. And while destroyers haven't done too good, breachers have actually done pretty decent. These guys are tougher, so hopefully they can fend off some of the zombies and toss them around the field. It'd be kind of cool. Destroyers traditionally haven't really done very well in this competitive meta, so I wanted to try to. I like having them on the table and be able to mess around, have fun with them. And yeah, this seems like a good opportunity for them, especially out of Mars with Call backing them up. They can actually hit a lot harder than their stats would suggest. And so, yeah, we'll see how they do moving into the Horde. Going over into my elites, we've got 2 5-man squads of the infiltrators. Now, one of the 5-man squads, I'm going to be giving the relic, the Tempacora, so that they have the to make a unit fight last. And we'll see how that plays out. I've always seen and used that it's been great on one of your closer range units, especially the infiltrators. So that should help me to be able to maybe control and mitigate some of the Poxwalker rush if he starts pushing with a whole bunch real soon, real quick, real early into my face or into an area. At least I have someone that can kick in to fight first and try and kind of push back and maybe clear a hole, or just have some epic heroic moments. These guys are my little space ninjas. They got a good amount of attacks. They can disappear off the table and come back in for some of my secondary games. And forward deploying also means that I can get them in some better positions right off rip. Over into the fast attacks, we have 2 5-man squads of the sterilizers. I'm fighting zombies. I need flamethrowers. I didn't want to go crazy with flamethrowers and everything, but 8 flamethrowers will do. We have 2 5-man squads. The sergeants of each squad have to take the pistol and the taser, which, I didn't mention this with the infiltrators, and this is kind of important. The pistol, which this guy has, with the sergeant of these squads has, is 5 shots at strength 3. Well, the infiltrators, all of them have that. So that's also a really good target for the Wrath of Mars strat, since 6s to wound do mortal wounds, and the strength 3 really isn't that great. Now on the sterilizers, the pistol kind of goes to be a miss. We're looking for the flamethrowers. And I mean, granted, the Wrath of Mars strat does well out of here since we're still rolling to wound. And pick up some poxwalkers, burn the zombies. These guys are no slouch in combat either. When they charge, they get some good buffs to boost their attacks. They're very, very, very fast, considering their flamers are assault weapons, so they can advance and still shoot them. These guys will also help with some of my secondary game because they're 5-man squads that are able to also leave the field and deep strike back in. Now, the 5-man squads matter. Those guys we're going to come back to on the secondaries, because I am going to try and do retrieve battlefield data. And while these guys could fail that technically, they are actually able to get into aggressive positions really quick and give me a shot at getting some of the harder to reach quarters. Moving over into heavy support, we have 1 heavy support unit, and that is 5 Castellan robots. 3 of them have hand cannons and shoulder cannons, while 2 of them have fists and shoulder cannons. I love taking robots with Belzerius Call. I love robots. I love my Dragoons. I felt like since I took Call, I needed to take the robots as his bodyguard. This is Belzerius Call we're talking about, and he's going to have robots guarding him, not infantry, not destroyers. He's going to have the biggest, best, and most expensive. Also, with the Datasmith being able to give them core, they will be able to get Belzerius Call's rerolls. When I look at the Datasmith he's 35 points to get a 35-point individual upgrade that gives robots core, and that's about that. All right, so we got through all the units. Let's talk about the characters. So we have 5 characters in this army. First, the non-HQ character, the 0-4 slot, which would technically be an elite, is my Datasmith. Once again, he is basically 35 points, give robots core. He can make it so that they don't test, or they don't have to lock down and use binaric override, the stratagem, that they can switch protocols a slower way, which changes at the beginning of my next command phase. But basically, it's 35 points, keep them nearby. They have core so that they can get the buff from Belzerius Call. So this is the first time I'm actually running Call this edition, because I was running Lucius for most of it. So Call is actually, he's a bit of a beast. He's got a good gun. He's good in close combat. He's got extra attacks for swarming. And he also can give 1 unit full rerolls. He gets an aura for reroll 1s. And he can select a unit, and that unit himself can pick a different Catacomb of Messiah to be in effect. So yeah, he's Belzerius Call. We know him, we love him, and I'm hoping for good things this game. Maybe a little Typhus versus Call action at some point. Next up is our Manipulus. So the Manipulus has the ability to give a unit additional range and AP to its gun. So then when he targets a squad of Rangers, it has very specific weapons, one of which is the Galvanic Rifle. He increases their range by 6 inches. So now they're 36-inch range. He gives them an additional AP, so they'll be AP 1. And then he gives them the whatchamacallit. Then he also can give them an additional +1 strength because he is the Artisan Holy Order. Now he'll have to complete an action to go to the advanced part of this where he can give off +1 strength. So on starting on turn 2, he'll be able to give them strength 5 guns that then they could make rapid fire. So this guy really can turn a Ranger squad into a unit that can just eliminate almost anything on the map. Again, he has got the Artisan upgrade Holy Order, and he'll probably be switching into that higher directive as soon as possible. Next up is the Tech Priest Dominus, who has the reroll 1 aura that the Manipulus doesn't. So he'll be able to help Call in keeping some rerolls on the table, as well as the Marshal. He is also the Logi Holy Order. So you can target a unit and give them Ignore AP 1 and 2. He's not going to ever advance that because that is a huge ability, especially on well, anything. Anything would love to have Ignore AP 1 and 2, especially in my army. Then we go over into the last guy, the Marshal. So my Marshal does have a relic, which allows him to give reroll 1s to hit and to wound for his aura. And he also is going to have a Warlord trait. His Warlord trait is Firepoint Telemetry. So he targets a unit and can give them cover. If they're fully in area terrain, then you can give them +1 to their saving throws. There's a lot of ways I can stack that, especially with the Doctrina, to really be able to boost my Ranger's armor save for at least 2 turns to make these guys very, very, very difficult to move, especially with some of the secondaries I'm trying to push. So that is the list. With this list, I have 110 wounds and 5 characters, so it's something to give Lane a little bit of, to make no prisoners and, assassinate a compelling choice for the poxwalkers so that, well, zombies can do what zombies want to do best. Eat my infantry and make more zombies. For my try that for a second time. For my secondaries, first of all, I'm going to do Hidden Archaeovault. Hidden Archaeovault is probably the most important for this matchup secondaries because, as I've said before, this is my rematch. There is something on this planet we want, so Hidden Archaeovault. So even if I win this game on points, but I don't get a 15 on Hidden Archaeovault, honestly, my AdMech are going to take that as a loss. We need that 15 on Hidden Archaeovault. If we lose the game, but we get a 15 on that, awesome. We at least got what we came here for. So that is the #1 priority with my army. For the theme of this game is Hidden Archaeovault. It's got to happen. Next up, you have Retrieve Battlefield Data. So a lot of infantry, a lot of separate squads. Some of them can automatically pass it. Some of them have a really good shot, but could technically fail, like the Infiltrators and the Taraxi. But those units are able to get into positions fast that other units might not be able to. I need to do it 4 times over the course of 5 turns. So I can fail once. I can not go for it once, or I can fail once. So with those guys, I can go get into a hard to reach position, roll the dice, and if I pass it, awesome. Great. That quarter's done. I've scored the points. Now I have 1 more difficult table quarter to get to, and I still have that 1 fail. If I fail it, now I need to start thinking for the other turns, okay, how do I get these troop units in there? Which is why I have the Vanguard and the Rangers to have those guaranteed units to get in there and complete it. Rangers would be a little bit tougher because it's such a big squad, but I mean, if you kill them, as long as I got 5, I still auto pass it. And then last is going to be no prisoners. I need to clear these zombies out of the way. I can't have them hanging out anymore. It's just too much. You guys are infecting all my people. You know, we don't like this. The pus and everything, it bogs up the gears. You know, it's bad for everyone. It's bad times. So we just clear you off here. You know, go go play somewhere else. This is, like I said before, there is this hidden archaeotech that we want. It's going to be kind of tough to get it off the planet if there's a bunch of zombies in our way. So it's going to be tough, but not impossible. So those are the secondaries I'm going to be running with this list. I got a lot of troops, a lot of infantry, and it should be a lot of fun. There was probably, I considered going into some of the action and shoot categories for stuff, but I was like, I'm only doing that one action. I should be okay. I have a lot of units that can complete it, a lot of units that can try for it. So one of them not shooting is not the end of the world. So there you go, guys. This is the rematch, and let's hope for the best, hope for the good guys, and we'll talk to you again soon. See you over at the game. Thanks for watching.